The agency saying fully vaccinated Americans no longer need to wear masks outdoors. We'll have more on this new guidance and what this means for you in just a few minutes.
Very encouraging voting numbers that we're seeing right now.
All right, just under 3 hours remain for what could be a record turnout for early voting here in Bexar County. News 4's Jim Lefko is here to show you what's fueling the push to the polls. Jim, we can see the line winding behind you. Good evening.
Hello, Simone. Yeah, this is the scene at Maverick Library today, where the lines for early voting have been growing throughout the day. If total turnout across Bexar County is anything like it was yesterday, we could be in for uncharted territory.
People have realized how much more convenient it is to take advantage of the early voting that we have.
More than 18,000 people voted yesterday, bringing the total to 75,000 entering today's final day of voting ahead of Saturday's election.
It helps people when they at least believe that they won't have to stand in a big line, whether or not that's actually the case.
Convenience is the main factor driving turnout. According to voters we talked to today, they can choose between a variety of locations. Hours are flexible too, including today's 12-hour window.
It just goes to show people want to vote when they want to vote, not when you tell them to vote.
It's more convenient for me to come in, on my lunch break than coming on a Saturday.
Proposition B about collective bargaining for the police is a big factor too.
If they perceive it to be controversial, such as the defunding the police measures have become, then that's going to factor in as well.
I was interested in making sure that was voted on.
Campaign strategy is changing too, as candidates are doing meet and greets with voters earlier than they used to.
Probably we'll see that becoming the pattern, at least at the local level, where people are looking for that engagement with their representatives.
It's all added up to a spike in voting for a May general election. Historically, those haven't drawn large numbers of voters, either early or on election day.
If we're looking at getting up towards, dare I say, 100,000 votes for a citywide election, then that's obviously a positive thing.
About 3 hours to get in a line like this one or anywhere else around the 36 spots in the county. If you're in line by 8 o'clock, you'll be allowed to vote. Otherwise, you'll have to wait till Saturday.
Yeah.
Back to you, Simone.
Jim, thank you. And just a quick reminder for you, time is running out to vote early in Bexar County. So you have until 8 o'clock tonight to cast your early vote. Election is Saturday. We have a list of early voting locations for you at news4sa.com. And take a look. Here's a sample ballot of what you'd see when you head to the polls. It's a big election. For mayor, all 10 city council seats, plus 2 big ballot initiatives. Prop A on how to pay for affordable housing, and Prop B on police reform. We're your home for election night. We'll be here live, keeping you up to date on the results right here on 4 and online at news4sa.com.
Melissa Vega at the live desk. We are following some breaking news for you. We're learning a Bexar County detention officer has just been indicted by a Bexar County grand jury for an alleged attack on an inmate. We have been listening to a press conference the sheriff is holding. We've been listening in, and we've learned this stems from an incident inside the Bexar County jail last May. 24-year-old Eduardo Sanchez is being charged with aggravated assault by a public servant and official oppression. And here's some of what the sheriff had to say about that incident.
During the course of a struggle that ensued, it appears that Sanchez struck Lopez at least once in the side of the head with a pair of handcuffs in his hand.
And the deputy has been arrested, and the sheriff saying the deputy is on leave, but the termination process has already started. We're going to continue to listen in to see if we learn any more information. That's the latest from the live desk.
We are digging deeper into the security at the Freeman Expo Hall and the temporary shelter where those unaccompanied migrant children are staying. A news simply walked out of the facility earlier this month. News 4 San Antonio's Zach Hedrick joining us live outside the Expo Hall with what he's learned. Zach.
Hey, Robert. Well, some updated numbers from HHS late this afternoon, about 15 minutes ago. The number of children staying here continues to get smaller. 1,776 are now staying here. Now, for weeks, we've been asking to interview and get you answers from the Department of Health and Human Services. But today, again, we were told that details and answers could not be shared. Our investigation discovered 3 teenagers walked right out of the temporary shelter at the Freeman Expo Hall on April 13th, 14th, and 16th. In an email sent to us today, the Department of Health and Human Services finally confirms 3 teens left the Freeman Expo Hall during the week of April 12th and, quote, remain outside of our care, end quote. The statement continues to say shelter without permission and that safety and security improvements have been made. We asked for an interview to get more details on those improvements, but our request was declined. The facility opened back on March 29th. We're also checking on the allegations about the site made by Governor Greg Abbott 8 days after it opened.
Children at this facility are being sexually
revisited the governor's claims.
The previous allegations that he made were untrue.
We checked with the Department of Public Safety for a status update on the investigation the governor requested. In a statement, they say the investigation is ongoing and further details are not available at this time. Now, at last check, we were told 192 case managers were working here with children, trying to help them verify and get connected with their family members so they could get placed in houses. We asked for an update for that today to see if any more were working here, but HHS is not answering that question either. Simone?
All right, Zach, thank you. Back to the news we brought you at the top of the newscast. President Biden stepping outside today to highlight the CDC's new guidance for fully vaccinated Americans. The CDC easing guidelines for wearing masks outdoors. President Biden spoke about the, quote, stunning progress we've made over the last few months in the fight against COVID-19. He noted 2/3 of seniors are fully vaccinated and shots have been
resulted in a drop of 80% in deaths among American seniors, a 70% drop in hospitalizations. So instead of losing thousands of seniors each day, more and more as each day goes by.
The president says he'll lay out plans next week for the months of May and June as he sets his sights on celebrating our independence from coronavirus on July 4th.
As for the specifics, what are the new guidelines for vaccinated Americans when it comes to wearing a mask? Bottom line, it is safe to go outside maskless if you are fully vaccinated. That's or Moderna shot, or 2 weeks after the single-dose Johnson & Johnson shot. Even then, though, the CDC still recommends wearing a mask at crowded outdoor events like sporting events, live performances, or parades.
This is the 3rd time we've changed our guidance for fully vaccinated people, and as more people get vaccinated and as case rates continue, further updates.
Masks are still recommended indoors, whether you're vaccinated or not.
Weather right now, it's just a lot of cloudiness and cool temperatures with those clouds from our 4-zone weather watchers. You see a lot of 70s here on the map, a few spots around 80, 83 out Yoakum and Aquiro. Del Rio now is 86 for that current temperature, so the cooler temperatures helping us out right now in terms of thunderstorms. You see the cloudiness, a few little sprinkles and showers or eastern zone counties, not much in Bexar County right now, although there's still a chance for a sprinkle or shower over the next couple of hours. And notice breaks of some sun down to the southwest and out to the west, so we're heating things up later this evening into the overnight. Thunderstorms are part of our forecast. You see, we do have some severe weather potential. We will break this down tonight, what to expect across our 4 zones, and another chance for severe weather tomorrow into tomorrow night coming up. Robert?
Thank you very much. Republicans turning up the heat on John Kerry. The leaked tapes that have them calling for Kerry to resign from his White House position.
And federal workers about to get a big raise, how much the pay bump is and when it goes into effect. Republicans are turning up the heat on John Kerry over allegations he tipped off Iran to Israeli military operations. Leaked tapes reported on by the New York Times suggesting Kerry once told an Iranian official about Israel targeting Iranian assets. Well, now there are calls for Kerry to resign as President Biden's climate envoy over these tapes. GOP leaders say he could face serious consequences.
Knowing the position that he holds in government, the position that he did hold, yes, it should be investigated. Knowing if these are true.
The White House is pointing to public reports from 2018 revealing these operations. The report does not mention when Kerry talked to the official.
Hundreds of thousands of federal workers are about to get a pay raise. Today, President Joe Biden signed an executive order raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour for federal contractors. The increase could be dramatic for workers under a federal contract who earn the current minimum of $10.95 an hour. Those workers would receive a 37% pay hike, though the increase will be rolled out gradually.
Still to come, lawmakers peeling back the curtain playing into Washington's larger effort to try to rein in big tech.
Speaking of which, talking tech, why Facebook says a new iPhone update is threatening its ad revenue.
At a time of renewed scrutiny on big tech, lawmakers in Congress spending the day asking some of the biggest internet companies tough questions about how they use algorithms to decide what a user would see. National correspondent Atra El-Nashar explaining the harm lawmakers say comes from these algorithms and what might be done to change them.
Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube's tool for deciding what a user sees on these platforms about big tech.
Algorithms influence what we read, watch, buy, and how we engage.
Right? It's an attention treadmill. It's an addiction economy.
Accusing the companies of pushing politically divisive content to keep people addicted to their product.
None of us wants to live in a society that, as a price of remaining open and free, is hopelessly politically divided.
Facebook pushing back on these claims.
The reality is, it is not in our interest financially. Extreme content.
After the spread of misinformation about the 2020 election and events of January 6th, these platforms taking steps to limit harmful content. Last week, Facebook announcing its algorithm will now prioritize user feedback when deciding what shows up in a person's feed, and Twitter describes as a decentralized standard for the internet.
We totally agree that we should be more transparent. We should also provide more consumer control and choice.
But these moves aren't enough for the lawmakers who want to see major internet reforms, like getting rid of Section 230, a decades-old liability protection for internet companies.
This immunity combined with monopoly allows them to censor, block, and ban whatever they want.
Others more hesitant to use new laws to solve this issue.
I think much of the zeal to regulate is driven by short-term partisan agendas.
This hearing is adjourned.
After dozens of hearings with tech giants in the span of several years, Congress has yet to pass any bills addressing issues lawmakers have with social media companies, from misinformation to privacy to censorship, leaving big internet companies to continue to self-regulate. On Capitol Hill, I'm Atra El-Nashar reporting.
And back at the live desk happening right now, there is a new commander on the International Space Station as 4 astronauts are getting ready to come home. We have some new video coming into our newsroom as NASA astronaut Shannon Walker officially hands over control to Japanese astronaut Aki Yoshihide. Walker is part of the SpaceX crew who has been on the International Space Station since last November. After the change of command ceremony, the crew had a zero-gravity group hug. Walker, along with 3 other astronauts, are scheduled to return to Earth on Saturday. That's the latest from the live desk. Robert?
In tonight's Talking Tech, Apple has released a new iPhone update that may threaten Facebook's ability to target advertising by tracking users' online data. When you open a new app now, you'll get a pop-up asking if you consent to being tracked, suggesting you may get a better ad experience, for example. If people choose not to be tracked, Facebook could lose revenue, up to 3%, according to Bank of America. Facebook has waged a campaign against such changes, arguing they'll hurt small businesses that rely on targeted advertising.
Now your certified most accurate 4-zone weather with Chief Meteorologist Chris Suchan.
All right, if you're maybe just getting off of work, trying to get that early voting in. Chris, it's muggy out there, but do we need an umbrella?
You know, maybe a just-in-case umbrella for a little sprinkler shower, but I'm not expecting the heavy weather for the next few hours here as we go through this evening, in large part because we have a lot of cloudiness. World Car Weather Cam View, you see as they step aside, 70s and low 80s with a fairly cloudy skies. There are a few breaks here and there. It looks like there's one there in our western zone there in Uvalde. And gradually with time, we will start to see the atmosphere become more supportive of thunderstorms. And over the next 24 to 48 hours, big-time weather here in the state. This is a prime setup here for severe weather season. season across the state, our region, right up into Kansas and Oklahoma, big upper low, working its way into the south central plains, and that brings great dynamics in, strong wind shear, and then you have to watch the instability levels pumping up here, 4 rounds of heavy weather. Now, right now, again, everything's sort of subdued in our area. Big storms up to our north. In fact, this supercell right here, you see that right turn with it. Wow, it was powerful. It had a big tornado on it for a time. It looks like it's weakening just a touch as it's approaching Wichita Falls. Back across our area, a couple little sprinkles and showers still left behind from the little impulse that moved by earlier today with a couple of showers, just enough for some wet roads in a few areas and around San Antonio. And you see the breaks of some sun showing up here. So as this is happening now, the atmosphere is going to start to pump up. It's going to take a little bit. But out west, Del Rio, Eagle Pass, Bracketville, Rock Springs, we got to be plugged in here this evening into the overnight for some big thunderstorm potential developing between 9 o'clock to midnight, I think, is your window. Large hail damaging winds. There would also be an isolated tornado risk. And then gradual weakening as they move east. But there's still a little bit of a severe weather risk in the middle of the night, which includes San Antonio and Bexar County. And then tomorrow, you see the severe weather risk is almost identical, maybe a little further east. But tomorrow's severe weather parameters really have to be watched. We do have some tornado potential tomorrow from 4 o'clock in the afternoon to 2 in the morning. Very high in the hail potential, 1 to 2 inches or larger, damaging wind gusts. And there's also a little bit of a flooding risk from training thunderstorms. So let's walk you through it. Again, fairly quiet for the foreseeable future this evening. If you're going to be out, small shower chance. Then you see midnight to 1 in the morning how we're really starting to fire up some storms out west. They would have a tendency to move towards Bexar County, so don't be surprised 3, 4, 5 in the morning if we start to get a little active and noisy in the area. Could be a little bit of a severe weather risk with that setup. And then we start to calm things down just a touch, and we're heating up 80s and 90s, and you think the coast is clear, and then all of a sudden the big thunderstorms are erupting out west again, 6 o'clock, and you see how they're expanding east. And each complex of storms that you see here has all severe weather hazards with it potentially, and localized flooding from the training nature of these storms. And then finally starting to calm down a bit on Thursday. And rainfall amounts, you're looking at about 1 to 3 inches in these storms. Make sure you have our 4Zone weather app on your smartphone or your tablet. Just text 4Zone to 44332 if you're away from News 4. Great way to stay ahead of this weather. And of course, Jen will be in tomorrow morning should there be a few showers of storms to impact your morning drive. All right, so out west tomorrow, the storm chance, we're really going to start watching for you late afternoon through the evening. Hill country, same song and dance here. Middle of the day is kind of quiet. Then we got to watch the evening into tomorrow night. In central zone, we're looking for temperatures that'll be probably into the 80s and low to mid 90s, maybe around 100 down south if we get enough sunshine. And in our eastern zone here too, fairly quiet through the day, but then we got to watch tomorrow night. All right, weather alert day tomorrow, 83 Thursday, and then finally starting to settle things down a little bit as we trend into the weekend.